Hello and welcome to Fractions of Amounts with Cubits Education. In this lecture you will find fractions of amounts and use problem solving to answer fractional parts questions. So first of all, we've already gone over this in the previous lecture, but we're just going to go over what a fraction is. So a fraction means to break something up. So we're going to break up numbers into parts and find bigger parts using the ones that were broken up. So it sounds a bit complicated, but it's not that hard, so you'll be fine. If I say I want a fifth of 200, for example, a fifth, I would break 200 into 5 pieces. That's basically what I'm trying to say there. So 200 divided by 5, breaking something up or sharing it, we use divide, and that gives us 40. This means that 1/5, or written like this, 1/5 of 200 is 40. Obviously, we've gone over that in the previous lecture, like I've just said. So let's have a look at a question to get us started. What is 1/7 of 56? So as you may already know, we just need to do 56 split into 7 pieces. So 56 divided by 7 is 8. So that's our answer. 1/7 of 56 is 8. Press pause and have a go at these questions just to get you going before we go into anything a bit more tricky. And see how you get on. Okay, so if you press pause and you've had a go, here are the answers. So for the first one, we need to do 300 divided by 4, and that gives us 75. We need to do 1,200 divided by 6, that gives us 200, and 400 divided by 8 gives us 50. Okay, so you should have been able to do all of those without a calculator. And if you're not amazing with division, there will be future videos on how to do that without a calculator. Okay, so what about when the number on the top is bigger than the one on bigger than a 1? Okay, so on the others that we just did, they're all 1/7, 1/5, 1/4, but here we have 3/5. So let's have a look at 3/5 of 200. So we still need to divide by the bottom number as we have already been doing. Okay, so we still need to divide by 5. 200 divided by 5 is 40, and then we need to take that 40, and I want 3 lots of it because 3 is on the top, so I need 3 lots of 40. Okay, so 40 times 3 is 120, so 3/5 of 200 is 120. Okay, so the rule we have to remember is divide by the bottom number and times by the top number. So for example, 4/7 of 56, we're going to do 56 divided by 7, which is 8, and then we do 8 times 4, which is 32. Okay, so 4/7 of 56 is 32. Okay, so if you want to have a go at these few questions just to test yourself, please go ahead, pause the video, and we'll go through the answers. Okay, so if you've paused the video, let's go through these. So the first one is 300 divided by 4 and then times by 3, which is 225. The second one, 1,200 divided by 6 and then times by 5 gives us 1,000. And 400 divided by 8 times by 7 is 350. Okay, so well done. Again, if you're not great with your division, there will be future videos on that. Right, so let's get on to our second learning outcome, which is problem solving in order to work out answers to questions. I think a lot of people choose to do these free courses because it either helps you with a qualification you're doing or it helps you to help your children. So let's have a look at this question. We have a school has 1,200 pupils. 575 of these pupils are girls. 2/5 of the girls like sport. And 3/5 of the boys like sport. And it wants you to work out the total number of pupils in the school who like sport. So the first thing I'm going to do is underline the keywords in the question. So I have 1,200 pupils and 575 of these pupils are girls. Okay, so, and I also want to know the total number of pupils in total. Okay, so complete total. So we know how many girls there are. Okay, we don't know how many boys there are. So We're talking about both boys and girls here, and we know that there are 575 girls, so how many boys must there be? So all we need to do is 1,200 take away 575. So we now know that there are 625 boys. Okay. Now we can look at the fractions. Okay, so we know how many girls there are, we know how many boys there are. Let's look at the actual fractions. It says 2/5 of the girls like sport. So we need to find 2/5 of 575, and by now you should be a whiz at working that out. Okay, so 575, we're going to divide it by the bottom number, okay, which gives us 115. Okay, we divide by 5. And then our answer, which is 115, times by 2. Okay, and that gives us 230. So 230 girls like sport. You must remember that. Write that down if you're doing the question. 230 girls like sport. Okay, let's move on to the boys then. 3/5 of the boys like sport, and we know we worked out that there were 625 boys. So I need to know what 3/5 of 625 is. So there's 5 on the bottom, so we have to do 625 divided by 5. That equals, 125. That's an equal sign there, I didn't mean to do that. 125. Okay, and then we take our 125 and we times by the 3, which is the number on the top, giving us 375. So 375 boys like sport. With the 375 boys and the previous one that we figured out, the 230 girls, what is this all together? So if we add them together, and it just gives us 605, and that would be the answer to your question. Okay, that's quite a nice question. I don't think it's too challenging. It's a foundation GCSE AQA question. Okay, let's move on. So these aren't too bad either, just getting yourself practicing doing questions. So this one says there are 800 people on the train to Manchester. 1/10 of these 800 people are children. And all it asks you to do is work out 1/10 of 800. So 1/10 of 800 is nice and easy. We just need to do 800 divided by 10, giving us 80. Okay, so we know that that's our answer for the first one. Okay. The second one says 3/8 of those 800 people are women. Work out 3/8 of 800. And again, you should be a whiz at this right now. So 800, we need to divide that by 8 because it's on the bottom, giving us 100. And then we're going to do 100 times the number on the top, which is 300. So our answer for the second part is 300. Okay. It then says the rest of the 800 people are men. Okay, work out the number of men on the train. Well, for this one, we know how many children there are. We know how many women there are. So work out the number of men on the train. The number of children is 80. The number of women is 300. And the total number of people on the train is 800. So we must do 800 take away 380, leaving us with 420 men. Okay, so nice one, that's nice. Okay, I'm sure you are going through these really fast by now. Okay, and then for the last one, and we haven't actually covered much on percentages yet, but I thought I would just add this one in there just in case anyone felt like they could do it, or, you know, just to test you a little bit. So this one says 320 of the 800 people are under 21 years old. Okay, and it asks you to work out 320 out of 800 as a percentage. So it sounds really complicated, but when you see this out of, that out of just means it's like a fraction. So it's 320 out of 800 as a fraction. Okay, obviously we don't want a fraction, we want a percentage, but this is how we have to write it in order to get there. So then what I would do is I'm going to cancel this fraction down, and you will see that in one of the lectures in this course. So you can familiarise yourself with that as you go through. But like I say, I just thought I'd add this one in. So if we cancel down, it means I'm going to divide by a number that goes into both of these. And because they both end in 0, I can divide by 10. So 320 divided by 10 is 32. And 800 divided by 10 is 80. Okay, so I've just divided both by 10, and it gives me an equivalent fraction, so it means exactly the same thing. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to get it as small as possible so I can put it into a percentage easily. So I've halved it now, I've divided by 2. So I'm going to divide 32 by 2, gives me 16. 80 divided by 2 is 40. I'm going to divide by 2 again, giving me 8 over 20. And divide by 2 again, giving me 4 over 10. Now, here's a nice rule for you to remember. Any number over 10, okay, you can turn into a percentage. So if it's 4/10, it means it'll be 40%, or as a decimal, 0.4. Okay. If it was 6/10, it would be 60%. If it was 8/10, it would be 80%. Okay. And again, we'll go through why that is in the later videos. So our actual answer to that question is 40% because we ended up with 4 over 10. Okay. Right, so really hope that you understood all that. Like I say, if not, go through the other videos and see how you get on. Okay, next exam question then. Danny shares a bag of 20 sweets with his friends. He gives Mary 3/5 of the sweets. He gives Anne 1/10 of the sweets. 1/10 of the sweets, sorry. He keeps the rest for himself. How many sweets does Danny keep for himself? Okay, so this one's nice. We've got 20 sweets. And Mary gets 3/5 of 20. So 3/5 of 20, I hope you've already done it. We're going to do 20 divided by 5 because it's on the bottom, which gives us 4. And then we're going to do 4 times 3 because it's on the top. Remember our rule, divide by the bottom, times by the top. So Mary actually gets 12 sweets. So I'm going to write that just there. Now, he gives Anne 1/10 of the sweets. So I need to know what 1/10 of 20 is. Well, this one's just got a 1 on the top, so it makes it really easy. All we need to do is 20 divided by 10, which is 2. Okay, so Anne gets hardly any sweets, she only gets 2. He then keeps the rest for himself. Well, altogether, he's given away 14 sweets, 12 to Mary, 2 to Anne. So we just need to do 20, take away 14, which gives us 6 sweets for Danny. Oops. Okay, so I hope you got all that. Nice questions. Okay, I hope you're feeling like a fraction whiz right now. Okay, a class has 29 students. 16 of the students are girls. What fraction of the students are boys? Now, if you want to pause the video to have a go at this one yourselves, please do. You've done enough already, so I'm hoping you already know what you're doing. Pause the video, have a go, press play for the explanation. Okay, if you've paused the video, we have a class of 29 students, and 16 of the students are girls. All right, fine. So, 16 of the 29 students are girls. Okay, so if there's 29 students altogether and 16 of them are girls, we know that we need to do 29 take away 16, and that will give us 13 boys. Okay, 16 add 13 gives us 29. All right, so that's 13 boys, but it wants it as a fraction. So I now need to say that there are 13 out of 29 boys. Okay. Okay. So we can't divide that any lower. 13 is a prime number. And as a matter of fact, so is 29. So we cannot go any lower. That is our answer. 13 boys out of a total of 29 students. Okay, next one. Again, pause the video at any point to have a go before I start talking. So, a box contains 20 tissues. Toby takes 3/5 of the tissues. 200 tissues. A box contains 200 tissues and Toby takes 3/5 of them. Work out how many tissues he takes. Again, nice question. You should get this so quick. So we need 3/5 of 200. 200 divided by 5, because it's on the bottom, is 40. And 40 times by 3 is 120. He takes 120 tissues. Why you would need 120 tissues, I have no idea. But there you go. Okay. Next one. Pause the video if you want to have a go first. A young person's rail card is 1/3 off normal price. Lisa uses her rail card to buy a ticket. She gets 1/3 off the normal price of the ticket. The normal price of the ticket is £24.90. Work out how much Lisa pays. Again, nice question. You should get this quickly. All we need to do here is find 1/3 of £24.90. So £24.90 divided by 3 is £8.30. Okay, we don't need to times by the top because it's a 1. Now, that's not how much she pays. Be careful. She gets that much off. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is take away the £8.30 off of the £24.90. So £24.90, take away £8.30, leaves us with £16.60, and that's what she pays for her rail card. Okay. Okay, again, pause it before I start talking. There are 30 students in a class. 20 of these students are female. Find the fraction of the class that is female and give your answer in its simplest form. Now, you'll see that quite a bit, especially if you're going to be doing GCSEs. Simplest form means you have to cancel the fraction down, like I did with the percentage question we did earlier. So I will show you that again. So there are 30 students in the class and 20 are female. So if 20 are female, that means that there are 20 females out of a class of 30 people. And this one's lovely and easy because they both end in 0. If they both end in 0, when we try to cancel it down into its simplest form, we can just take those zeros off. And it just gives us, we divide by 10 basically. Okay, here's a tip. If both numbers end in 0, they can both be divided by 10. Okay, so take the zeros off. That's what that means. Divide by 10, get rid of the zeros. That gives us 2/3. Okay, so 20 out of 30 students written as a fraction in its simplest form is 2/3. All right, next one. Again, please pause the video if you want to have a go first. Right, in a shop, the normal price of a jacket is £60. The cost of the jacket in a sale is 3/4 of the normal price. Work out 3/4 of £60. Okay, so this one's nice, 3/4 of 60. All right, so we just need to do 60 divided by 4, which gives us 15, and then 15 times 3 to give us 45. So our answer for that one is 45. Okay. Now, the next one, again, we haven't gone through this, but it's fine. You should be okay with it. So Darren has to travel 1/8 of a mile to the shop, and it wants you to write 1/8 as a decimal. Now, 1/8 as a decimal means we do 1 divided by 8. Okay. And if you did that on your calculator, it would give you 0.125. Thinking that is our decimal. Now, I will show you how to do that on our a different video about division. I won't go through it on the fractions video because you will probably have to learn this one if you're doing your GCSEs or if you're just doing it to help your children or for whatever reason. This is one of those ones, like it's like a quarter or a half or 3/4. You should know what it is as a decimal anyway, so if you just learn it, it makes your life a bit easier. But if you get something like 1/7 or 3/24 or something like that, and you have to do it without a calculator, then there will be some videos on how to do that. Okay, but I suggest for now, you just learn that 1/8 is 0.125. Just like 1/4 is 0.25, okay? But again, we will come back to them. All right, so next one, work out a quarter of £24. So that's a nice one. We do 24 divided by 4, which is 6. And then another percentage one here, just throwing them in. There is a percentages course you can take a look at for free. But thought I'd add this one in here. So work out 10% of 400. Now, 10% is the easiest percentage to find because all you need to do for 10%, and it doesn't work for all percentages, but for this one it does, all you do is divide by 10. So 400 divided by 10 is 40, so that's your answer. Okay. Now, just going back to this one, I put 6 times 1 here, which is 6, just to show that you could times by the top. Not that you don't need to when there's a 1, as I've said loads and loads of times, but if you did by mistake, it doesn't matter, you get the same answer, that's why you don't need to do it. Okay. So, I think we're almost done. Let's continue. I like it when we've got loads of questions because it gives you loads to practice and it makes it stick in your head. I think it's always good to do a lot of one thing before moving on to something else. So, there are, again, pause the video if you want to have a go before I go through it. Okay. There are 24 men in a room. Half of the men are wearing a red shirt. A third of the men are wearing a green shirt. The rest of the men are wearing a blue shirt. Work out the number of men wearing a blue shirt. So let's look at our first fraction. Take it in steps, don't rush. There are 24 men in a room, and I want to work out how many are wearing red, and half of them are wearing red. So if half of them are wearing red, I need to do 24 divided by 2, which gives me 12. So 12 are wearing red. a third of the men are wearing green. So I need to do a third of 24 again. And then 24 divided by 3 is 8. So 8 are wearing green. So it says the rest of the men are wearing blue. Well, altogether, I have 20 people that are wearing red or green. So I'm just going to do 24, take away the 12, take away the 8, and that gives me 4. Or you could have done 24, take away 20 to give you 4. So it's just the rest. So the number of men wearing a blue shirt is 4. Okay, well done, and thank you very much for using Cubit Education. That was quite a long lecture, and I hope you did really well. There will be an attachment for some fractions questions for you to have a go at in your own time. If you struggle with anything or you think there is something that I need to change, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email address is info@cubiteducation.com. Thank you very much and see you next time.